Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Ariane, and thank you again for joining us on The Missing. As always, this channel is dedicated to my uncle who went missing in 2001, Mark Anthony Mestis. His case is still open, and if you have any information regarding his whereabouts, you can email lovedonesmissing@gmail.com and give any information that you know of and in hopes of helping us find him. My journey to finding my uncle has brought me here to this channel, The Missing, where I am trying to feature a missing persons case each week in hopes of helping people reunite with their missing loved ones. This week's story is about an 11-year-old girl from Tennessee. And this story, I cannot even begin to tell you, has me in one of those places where I am in a whole world of what the fuckity fuck, which I know you guys have heard me say before, excuse my language. I do apologize for not being on last week. I guess it's proven I am trying to post every Sunday, and if I can do it twice a week, I will. However, right now, juggling the family and the jobs and everything has kind of been a little chaotic for me, and I'm still kind of getting in my groove of everything, and so I do apologize that I missed last week. There may be weeks, unfortunately, where I do miss, or where I do too, maybe even on a different day than Sunday if I have to, but my goal is to be here with you every Sunday so that we can do what we need to do and help find these people and bring them home to their families, because everybody deserves to have closure in any situation, good or bad. And I do want to say, if you are new, thank you for joining us. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you'll know when I do upload new videos. And if you're returning, thank you so much for your support and sticking with me on this journey. Today's case, let's get started with, is about 11-year-old Bethany Markowski. I think I'm saying that right. If I'm not and you know better, put it in the comments and let us know. But Miss Bethany Markowski was 11 years old, when she went missing on March 4th of 2001 from Tennessee. She would be described as 4 foot 8 inches tall, 95 pounds, with brown hair and blue eyes. I do, as always, I will have pictures of her from the time that she went missing, and I do have some age progression photos as well. Sorry, my phone just rang. As well, so that you guys can kind of get an idea of what she would look like today, because today she would be about 29 years old. This case has some twists and turns, and so because of that, I want to give a little bit of a backstory. I don't typically give too much of a backstory, but I'm going to today. So Bethany was born to Joni Carter, I believe that's how you say her mother's name, and Larry Markowski. They lived as a married couple in Tennessee. Now, Joni is mom, Larry is dad. Joni mom would describe Larry as a very controlling and abusive husband. He was abusive to her, and she did state that eventually he also became abusive to Bethany. With that being said, it took her a while to leave Larry, and this is a no judgment zone. So if you've ever been in an abusive relationship, it's probably something that you'll never forget, and you can relate to her. You know where she's coming from on this. If you haven't, then let me just tell you, it is a hard thing to deal with, and it is not easy. And people who are in these relationships, it happens gradually over time, and you tend to get alienated from your family and your friends, and you feel like you don't have a way out, and there's fear, and it takes a while to gain the courage or the strength to walk away. And in Miss Joni's case, that was the situation. She said it took her a while to walk away because she was so scared of him. And so she finally did. And at the time that little Bethany went missing, they were currently going through the divorce, which she said Larry was not taking well. There had been some issues. So she got the courage to leave. She said she took like $10 and some of their belongings, and she went to pick Bethany up from school the day that she left. She said the day she left, Bethany came running out of school and was like very excited, a smile on her face, and was like, "Are we leaving Daddy today?" Because, you know, apparently this was probably a very hard situation for any child to go through, and Bethany was no different. It was something that was wearing on her. And so when her mother got the strength to leave, Bethany apparently was ready for that change as well. So she said she got Bethany from school that day. She did leave. She went to her sister's house. Now, her sister will play a little bit of a role in this story. Her name was Lori, from what I'm understanding and what I've read. And that's where they went to stay, still in Tennessee. I believe it said Nashville, Tennessee. And she did enroll Bethany in a new school. Now, she tried to hide the school from Larry, from what I was understanding, but he did find out, and apparently he showed up at Bethany's school one day and grabbed the little girl and tried to drag her out the back doors of the school. She was screaming, and obviously there was a scene from the way that I read it, and so teachers did get involved, and they managed to separate them, and they managed to get Bethany away from him. With that being said, at the time of Bethany's disappearance, they're going through this divorce. Things are not good between the parents. The mom is afraid of him. So they do establish a order of protection between the two parents, but he was granted visitation. So Lori, the sister, the mom's sister, this is where her role comes in. She's going to kind of play like the go-between for the parents. She's going to be the one that's going to take Bethany to her father for her weekend visitations. It is my understanding from what I've read, he was getting her every weekend. So Aunt Lori would drop her off to Dad Larry on Fridays, and he was to have her back, meet Aunt Lori by, now in one place I read it was 6 p.m. on Sundays. The other place I read it was 5 p.m. on Sundays. So either way, Sunday evenings, he was supposed to have her back, and Aunt Lori, he would exchange her with Aunt Lori, and then Aunt Lori would take her home. Now, at the time that Bethany disappeared in March of 2001, or excuse me, I'm sorry, in March of 2011, she was born in 2001. In March of 2011, he had 1 weekend of visitation with her at this point, and they said it went off without a hitch. I mean, he picked her up, he had her back on time, everything was good. There were no, to my understanding, no reports of him being abusive or ugly to Bethany in that first weekend or anything like that. So everything seemed to be okay. So then comes the weekend, and it's his second visitation weekend, and like always, he is picking her up for her visitation. He picks her up on Friday, March 2nd of 2000, okay, excuse me, it is 2001. I said 2011 earlier, I think. It's March 2nd of 2001. He picks Bethany up, and he picks her up on Friday. Lori exchanges them, and he is to have her back by 5 p.m. on Sunday. So they exchange her. She goes with her dad. It is said in one report I read that they were going to pick up one of her friends, and she was going to spend some time with one of her friends that weekend. They spent some time, to the mom's understanding, the reports that she got, they had spent some time in Gleason and as well as in Little Rock, Arkansas that weekend with some of her dad's friends, and everything seemed to be going well. Now, Bethany's mom, Joni, did speak to Bethany on the morning of March 4th, the day that she was supposed to be coming home. They confirmed that she would be picked up at 5 p.m. by her Aunt Lori. This would be their drop-off time, like always, and everything would be good to go. So, Mom's not thinking anything. Aunt Lori's thinking everything's good. 5 p.m. comes and goes, and Larry does not show up with Bethany. So Aunt Lori's like, okay, I'll give him a few more minutes. Like, maybe there's traffic, things happen. He could be running late, not going to panic. Well, a little while later comes, and still no Larry. So Aunt Lori begins to call Larry. She says she calls several times, and he does not answer her calls. Nothing. No word. Finally, he calls her back and says that Bethany's missing. He drops this bombshell in her lap. Bethany is missing. Lori and Joni, Mom and Aunt, obviously they get this news and they head to where Miss Bethany was last seen. Larry would state that on the way home to take Bethany home, because it was a long drive, Bethany had wanted to stop at the Old Hickory Mall, I believe is what it was called. He said this was a mall in Tennessee that Bethany was familiar with and had been at before. And so they had a little drive still before he was supposed to meet up with Aunt Lori. So he says he pulls into this mall because he had been driving all night and he's tired, and she wants to stop by Claire's and the arcade. Okay, so they pull into this mall. Now, she's 95 pounds. She's 4'8". She's 11 years old. I guess, some people are comfortable and they'll let their kids at that age go into the mall alone. I personally would not. That's my opinion. I am probably one of those hovering, overprotective moms, and I don't let my kids, I don't let them go anywhere alone, and I'm very hands-on. So I personally would not let my 11-year-old child go into a mall alone. But Larry says because this mall is known to Bethany, she's been there before, he's really tired because he's driven all night. He's going to let her go into the mall by herself. So at 11 years old, he says, I watch her. She walks towards the mall entrance, and I don't wait to see if she gets in the mall. I just put my head back and I fall asleep. He said, but I told her not to take too long because I had to have her home by 5, and that she could have a little bit of time, but that she needed to make it quick. And so while she was in there, I'm just going to take a cat nap. So it is 2:30 p.m. She's supposed to be back with her aunt by 5. They're at Old Hickory Mall in Tennessee. Dad's tired. She's 11. He watches her walk in the direction of the entrance to the mall, but doesn't bother to watch her walk into the mall, doesn't bother to go with her into the mall, just lays his head back and he goes to sleep. Now, once again, we're going to say it's a no judgment zone, and maybe he is very tired, and maybe for 11 she was very mature, and maybe he just was comfortable with this place and thought it was safe, that there wouldn't be any issues. There's security. He's right outside. Whatever his thoughts were, he let this child go into the mall by herself at 11 years old. Well, he falls asleep, and when he wakes up, Bethany's not back. Now, in one report I read that he fell asleep for 30 minutes. In another one, I read that he had fallen asleep for about an hour. Either way, it was 2:30 p.m. when she headed towards the mall. He wakes up. He says he goes into the mall and he begins to look for her. And he's looking all over and he can't find her. So at 5:15 p.m., he reports her missing to the mall security. Mall security joins in the search, and they find no trace of Bethany anywhere in the mall. So at 6:05 p.m., almost a full hour after mall security was notified and several hours after she was last seen headed into the mall, the police are notified and they begin their investigation. Now, they do not find her anywhere in the mall. I am assuming they found no witnesses, because anything I read, it never said that anybody came forward and said, yes, I saw her, or oh, I recognized her, or anything. What it did say is that they reviewed the mall security surveillance video and that they could not find any video at all showing Bethany walk into the mall, or any video at all showing Bethany in the mall at all on March 4th at any time. There is no video or evidence showing that she actually made it into the mall. Now, is it possible that once Dad put his head back and fell asleep, she was kidnapped from the mall parking lot? It's possible, absolutely. But that child, based on the surveillance video from the mall, that baby never made it into the mall at all. They don't have video of her in any stores, not in Claire's or the arcade. They don't have surveillance of her walking in through the doors, nothing. She never made it into the mall. They have never found her. They don't have any evidence. They don't have any witnesses. There is nothing out there about this little girl. The only thing we know is that she walked towards the mall entrance at 2:30 p.m. and that was it. She disappeared. Now, there were some sightings of her with a blonde lady. There were some people at a restaurant and at a bus that said that there was a little girl matching her description with a blonde lady. At the restaurant they were eating, at the bus, somebody says that they saw this blonde woman and this little girl that fits Bethany's description board a bus for Illinois. However, the authorities were notified, and when that bus reached its destination in Illinois, there was no woman or child fitting that description on the bus. So that's it. There's nothing. There's been nothing. Now, there are many speculations surrounding this case, and why the hell not? There are some people that believe that Larry actually hid Bethany, that he is one of those personalities of well, if I can't have her, no one can, and that because of that personality, he actually took Bethany and hid her, because he didn't want the mom to get her, and that maybe the blonde woman that she was seen with was actually a family member, and that's possible. I mean, they had plenty of time to meet up, and he could have exchanged her with somebody. It would make sense why, if the people that saw this little girl and this woman together, why the little girl maybe wasn't asking for help. I mean, if she knew the lady, if it was an aunt, it's easy to tell little kids different things, and maybe they just gave her some sort of story as to why she wasn't going back with her mom, and maybe they do have her somewhere. Maybe they took her to another country. Maybe they've got her in Illinois somewhere. I don't know. There is also speculation because of his past abusive history and his if I can't have her, no one can personality that some people believe he has, that maybe he harmed her. Maybe he hurt her because he didn't want the mom to get her. Or maybe he, because he was an abusive person, lost control and she said or did something, and maybe he hurt her that way. I don't know. As of right now, I know that this case is open. It is active. There is she's a 29-year-old, around 29 years old now, but she was a little terrified girl at the time who never made her way back to her mom. There is a phone number if you have any information about her whereabouts, there is a 1-800. It's 1-800-TBI find. That TBI is involved in trying to locate her. If you have any information, you can call that number. You can always email lovedonesmissing@gmail.com with any information about her case. Please take a look at these pictures. If you recognize her, if you know her, if you were at the mall the day she went missing, if you were someplace where you saw him exchange her with somebody else, or if you are somebody who knows him and he maybe confided in somebody that he did do something by accident or intentional, or if you saw someone grab this little girl in the mall parking lot and take her, or you know somebody who maybe took her and has confessed that, please take a look at these pictures. Whether Bethany is alive, and I pray that she is, or she's not, it's always the same. These families have a right to closure. These families have a right to bring their loved ones home and know where they are and what happened to them. And I beg you, please help these families bring these people home. This case, my past cases, my uncle's case, they are loved, they are wanted, they are missing. This is the missing. This is a journey to bring families together and help families. I beg you, take a look at these pictures of this little girl, Bethany Markowski, I believe is how you say her name, from Tennessee. Bring her home. Once again, I thank you for joining me on this Sunday. I wish you all a blessed week ahead. Be a warrior. Find these missing people. Bring them home. I love you guys. Have a great week.